Welcome to your Women's Circle. You guys almost caught me jamming. I like that music. Yes. I am your host, Angie Harvey, and it's a pleasure to bring you women you want to see, women you should hear, women you will desire to connect with, and women you should know. Today, those women include Joy Silver, who is a political activist, and Myra Gandy, a visual artist. Yes, we're about to be hot up in here. Yes, we're about to have some mighty women in your circle today. And you know what it is? It's Monday. And like always, yeah, I'd like to give you a little motivation to keep you growing. Today is the acknowledgement of Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday. And we can't fully acknowledge Dr. King without acknowledging that he had a dream that this day, yeah, that we're still not yet completely realized. The dream is not realized. Ironically, 12 days ago today, in the same city Dr. King spoke in, and in the same month as his birthday, many of us witnessed a nightmare that let us know that 58 years later, we still have a ways to go before realizing Dr. King's dream. However, I'm going to suggest that we celebrate Dr. King by continuing to believe in his dream, by creating a dream of your own, continuing to realize the dreams that we have, and constantly supporting the dreams of others as we can. Having thoughts, images, and emotions are necessary. Having a vision, a creation of the imagination is necessary. Having a state of mind marked by an abstraction or release from reality, that is necessary. Dreaming is necessary because it's going to be our dreams that will elevate us out of our emotional bondage. It's going to be our dreams that will give us comfort when what's happening around the world is so very uncomfortable. It's going to be our dreams that will give us hope and the ability to pull ourselves from hopelessness. It's going to be our dreams that will give us a place to live, grow, and thrive, even in the midst of hate and despair. It's going to be our dreams that will empower and encourage our family, our friends, neighbors, community, and society to dream too. So please, my people, don't stop believing and supporting Dr. King's dream. And please don't stop creating and nurturing your own dreams. And don't stop helping others realizing their dreams. It's what Dr. King would have wanted and what all growing folks should do. Don't stop dreaming so that we may all be free at last. I hope this motivates you on this Monday and beyond. Now let's make some room in our circle for our first guest, Joy Silver. Joy is a lifelong activist and advocate for the causes of social and environmental justice and came very close to representing California in the Senate in 2020. Yes, welcome to the Women's Circle. Joy, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me today. Nice to see you.
Thank you very much for being here. It is definitely our pleasure. I know everybody's getting ready to be in for a treat. So I understand that you played a little part in getting those two Democrats from Georgia elected. And thank you very much. And as we watched those results of that election, we also saw some unthinkable, unimaginable things happen in our state capitol. So some of the progressives are describing the storming of the Capitol as an example of militarization of racial resentment. Do you agree with that assessment?
I
What's your
do.
thoughts about that?
I do agree with that. And I think we have to add in there not just racial resentment, but there's anti-Semitism, there's misogyny in there, there's even anti-Catholicism in there. And this kind of dates back to the Ku Klux Klan in their first rendition right after the Civil War. And then, later on in the second rendition where they blended in Christianity to give them kind of a veneer of respectability, although how the Klan could be respectable, I have no idea, but I do agree that this is another version of that time period.
Wow. I'm still saying wow. So there are some wide ranges of words being used to describe these people that stormed the Capitol. I mean, from trespassers to terrorists. Is there a word that you would use to describe them?
Barbarians, I think, would be a good word. It's like the storming of the barbarians again. I mean, all the way through to the vandalization, because the Vandals, where vandalize comes from, were actually barbarians after the Roman Empire, the fall of the Roman Empire happened. So not only are they barbarians, but I would say domestic terrorists. And so these white supremacist domestic terrorists would be the term that I would use for these guys.
Wow. I'm still saying wow. Wow. So go ahead.
And I'm also thinking something else too, because we've watched them through the Klan, from Klan tactics, and we know it's kind of the present day. What they did was they took the hoods off now, right? So now we see who they are. But the other thing too is we've seen these same people terrorize women's health clinics. Yep. And so these are the same people that were bombing the clinics, shooting the doctors, organizing against women's right to have agency. These are the same people. So I recognize from that because I have a long history, 19 years working in a women's health clinic. So I've seen them.
Right. And you know what? I had not given that any thought. I know there are some people that are calling for a soft response, of course, where that comes from. And there's others calling for like the hammer to come down. They want something to happen. And so as a Democrat, what do you think would be the scope of response from that side of the aisle, as they would say?
Well, look, I think we have to vanquish and root out these people who were part of the attempted coup, no matter where they may be found. And I think we should have something like the Nuremberg trials after they had it after World War II to find the Nazis. I think we are actually at that moment in time where this time we have to do what we could not fully accomplish after the Civil War. And that is root out people, both doesn't matter what their position is, the political, the military, the judges, the economic leadership of those who planned it, the funders. It's got to be rooted out. It's going to take a lot of time to get in there, but I think we have to do that. Otherwise, we will not realize our movement forward. They called it the Reconstruction before, and we're seeing that Joe Biden's using the term Build Back Better. Yeah. And that much is the title for Reconstruction again. And I think we have to take that step.
And I didn't even make the correlation between the two, but I absolutely have heard that and have heard him say that. And that was great. That I love that. I think I have a great appreciation for it now. So I mentioned earlier that you left California, trekked on over to Georgia in the middle of this pandemic, in the attempts to help get these two senators elected. Tell me what made you go over there and what happened when you got there. I mean, what made you, because I know a lot of people think that them individually can't make a difference. What were you thinking when you went there, and what happened when you got there?
The first thing is I thought of all the important, this was going to be where we the hill that we had to live or die on. If we didn't pick up those two seats, we'd be in deep trouble that would throw us back hundreds of years, I think, in a certain sense. So I thought, okay, COVID or not, this is the place where I take the stand. And so I kind of self-deployed, made my own decision.
Right.
Deployed myself, and then gotcha. Look, if I get sick, whatever happens, this is the place we got to win. And, it's so incredibly important. And both the election, remember now, this is a Black senator out of a formerly Confederate state. Okay. So this did not make this happened at 2:10 on January 6th, the day of the attempted coup. This was part of the fuel of their movement forward. And then later on, having the Jewish guy, which is another one of their big things. Right. So they were really ginned up over this, because here you have these two senators in a formerly Confederate state moving forward to help bring the forward momentum of the Union. Right.
Yes.
So really, Angie, when I got there, I knew we were going to win. I picked Gwinnett County. I thought that's where the battle was really going to be fought. And so many people had already voted. but I knew it was going to be of a thin margin. And so I really thought this is really the place I needed to be. And whether we lost or won, I would know this, that I went out there to do my best. And I think that we each have to do what we can to keep things moving forward.
Oh, absolutely. It absolutely makes sense that that we all think. I know when I went to vote, I made myself believe that my vote was going to be the deciding vote, so that I wouldn't be one of those people that would say, well, that one vote does not count. And as I reread Dr. King's I Have a Dream speech, which I do every year on his birthday, it's so funny that he continued to mention Georgia. And he continued to say, until this happens in Georgia, until this happens in Georgia. And I just thought it was just sweet justice that we were able to turn that state, especially in this month, in the month he was born. So that was pretty cool. I love that. So I'd like to bring this a little bit closer to home, make this a little bit more personal. Now, I happen to see that there's lots of out lesbians on various levels in the current political, scene, from mayors to local, national representatives. Is there any rising star that we should be keeping our eye on?
Well, yeah, there's a few that I'm watching, and I think would be worth all of our watching. And I think I think some of them might even be single, but I'm not really sure about that. But
come on now.
I'm just saying, Angie. I'm just saying. Okay, but we have to keep. I'm keeping my eye on a few lesbians who won and they're out, which I think that's really the critical piece here. Particularly, let's look at some of the two mayors that I'm watching, and that is, of course, Mayor of Chicago, Lori Lightfoot, who I was honored to meet. And the reason I'm watching her, of course, is that she's got this humongous city, Chicago. Right. So I think a lot of national eyes are going to be on her and how she handles the issues there in Chicago. But more importantly, the two mayors that I'm watching particularly have police background or police board. Like, for example, wow. Lori was, first of all, she's the first open lesbian woman, lesbian African-American woman to have ever won this major city to be met, for the mayorship of that. But yes. She was the president of the Chicago Police Board. Okay, so how will she use that background in order to bring some police reform, and how will she establish that balance? I mean, she's got, and so far she's been moving forward with reforming tactics. So that's really good. And the second woman, she's a white woman, Jane Castor, is the first woman and openly gay person. She was the chief of police in Tampa, and now she's the mayor. She initially was Republican. She left that behind to become a Democrat. So we're going to see how she's going to use her experience with the police force to move into some police reform in these two cities. So let's see how these lesbians handle both their backgrounds, knowing what they know, and also being mayors of these cities. So those are two women that I think we need to keep our eye on.
Yeah, that's my goodness. I did not have that much information about either of those two people, but that is a lot happening inside of them. I'm not a person that would ever probably run for office. I think it's a whole lot of stuff, and I just thank God for those people that want to do it. So now on Wednesday, historic week.
Wait, hold on. There's a few more. I want to talk about some of these lesbians because it's not an easy thing to do. And what you're saying about running for office, I mean, those are just two mayors, but there's some other, there are other lesbians I think we have to keep our eyes on. Right here in California is Senator Toni Atkins. She started out as a mayor, assemblywoman. She became the majority House Speaker, but now she is the pro tem of California. And what that means is she's third in line. If the governor couldn't be the governor for any reason, the lieutenant governor would come next, and then would be the Senate pro tem. And she's been in politics for a long time. I think she's going to continue forward. I wouldn't be surprised if she ran for governor at one point here in California. That would be a really big thing. Also, Assemblywoman Sabrina Cervantes. She's an assemblywoman in the 60th, it's in Corona area of California. Comes from a very political family who I think we're good. And she's very young. She's 33. She has a long career in front of her, and I think we're going to see a lot of great things happen with her. Of course, the person we know about is Tammy Baldwin, the senator in Wisconsin. She's been in the Senate since 2013 and won her second term. She has a consistent progressive agenda in Wisconsin, and she does stand up to things. And this is the one that she may be single. I don't know. We have
good looking out, Joy. Good looking out.
Yeah, I'm looking out for you, Angie. We have Susan Talamantes Eggman. She was in the assembly here in California for 2 terms. She's now senator. And also Angie Craig in Minnesota, who is she's of Asian background, and we may see something from her. But Sharice Davids, the first Native American woman right? That's something in Kansas, right?
Yes,
she's the only Democrat in Kansas congressional representation in the delegation there. That's no mean feat. So I think we may see some things from her. But here's the person, and this is my all-time favorite that we're watching right now, and that is Karine Jean-Pierre. She's the former communications director of MoveOn, and she's now the vice presidential candidate for chief of staff for Vice President Harris. And this is the most amazing thing. You may see her sometimes on MSNBC. She's a very brilliant woman. She worked communications and worked with the VP. And I think we're going to see some incredible things happen with her. And that she's kind of my favorite because I think her background was not strictly from the political world, but she became that in communications. And now I think we're going to see a lot happen with her. So she's kind of my favorite.
Oh, wow. Now, I would have never guessed in a million years, 10 years ago, asking that question and having someone say, no, wait, I'm not done yet. There's more. So I'm very, very, very excited to know that the list went on and on and on. That is something. I thank you for coming to the circle. And I thank you for bringing all of those women to the circle and for sharing your candid responses and bringing some light to the subject. It was perfect timing for you to be in the circle. And I just thank you very much for being here and for enlightening us all. It has been my pleasure.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
You're so very welcome. So you all do know that this program is sponsored by Your Women's Circle. And that's an organization that provides for you a place to connect with the LGBTQ community, to socialize, as well as make professional connections and share resources. So I invite you to check them out at www.yourwomencircle.com. You got that? yourwomencircle.com. Now I'd like to welcome another crazy talented woman to the circle, Myra Gandy. She is a visual artist that brings a voice to women's issues through her multimedia art forms. I said air forms, art forms. Her work speaks to race, sexuality, history, identity, and their intersection in the media and culture. Welcome to the circle, Myra. Yes.
Hi, good morning.
Hi, how are you?
I'm wonderful. So nice listening to you. Enjoy.
Oh, thank you. I'm very glad to hear that. So I was able to look at some of your work, and it is vibrant and absolutely unapologetic, very much so. I want to find out, do you consider yourself to be a cultural activist as it relates to your artwork?
Well, I'd say that I'm definitely someone who is an activist in terms of I'm looking at social and political issues. So in that way, I would say, yeah, I think being a Black woman, being a lesbian, being an artist and putting it out there is already activism in itself, right? Just by being who I am.
You're just a walking activist billboard, right? Gotcha. But way before you put the paint to the canvas, I'm sure.
Exactly.
And so I do know that you happen to have brought us a couple of your paintings, a couple of your treats. So I would love for us to see what we got today.
Okay, sure.
I think the first one that we have coming up, let me see what's going to pop up there because I have a name for it. Yes, this is my favorite
Yeah.
right here. This is, and the title is Audra McDonald as Lady Day. So tell us a little bit about how you came to creating this piece.
Oh yes, this is, I hope you were able, or anyone was able to see this incredible Lady Day, um, Broadway show that was Audra McDonald was the star of, and she's phenomenal. And of
Wow.
course, my mother, I have to shout out my mom, who's a proud out lesbian who happens to be a Broadway producer. And she
Yes, yes, yes,
has, her name is Irene
yes.
Gansey, and I love her. So she, she was producing the show. And there's a wonderful woman, her name is Pat Herlock, who brings women to theater in groups. And my mom said, Pat's bringing, like, she brought like 100 women together to see the show. And my mom was able to arrange a talk back. That means, like, they were able to meet Audra and they wanted to give her something. So they asked me they commissioned me to do this work, and they presented it to Audra McDonald.
Wow.
And
How
so it was
cool
really
is that?
wonderful. It was a really wonderful
Yes,
opportunity. And the
yes.
show
Look, I
was
got chills thinking about that. You said
great.
commission me. I love that. And so I noticed when I saw your paintings that you have a very strong Black identity. I wanted to say, does race or gender as a theme, do you feel like Black female artists are somehow obligated to explore? Do you feel obligated to explore those things?
I don't feel obligated to explore. I think as an artist, you want to explore what's on your heart, what's on your mind. I mean, artists are always the people who are speaking about what's happening, in the world, so it's natural. And so because, race and womanhood and beauty are all things that are important to me, that's what I create and that's what comes out. But I think you can't really say you're obligated. I think you have to do what's in your heart to really like impact the people. So what's important
Very
to
good.
me are those things.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense to me. I love the impact that happens. You brought another picture that I think was just amazing as well. And I love the title. And this I can no longer accept. This I can no longer accept. See if we can pull that up. And I want you to give me a little bit of story behind what inspired. Well, I know what inspired you to do it, but just give us a little where you were
Okay.
mentally when you put this
Okay.
together.
So this is a portrait that I did of the founders, the young women that are so profoundly impacting, our society. And these are the founders of the Black Lives Matter movement: Alicia Garza, Patricia Cullors, Opal Tometi. And I actually did this piece as part of an exhibition called Power to the People, which talked
Mm-hmm.
about, um, you know, the people who are marching in the streets and marching in the parks. It was in a gallery in New York. And so for me, when I think about Black history, here we are, MLK, I think about the undeniable contribution that Black women have contributed. And we see that right now at this time, right?
Yes.
At this time,
Yes.
the movement of Black women that are the ones who are leading, the political arenas. And so I created that piece to really celebrate. And the name is derivative of uh, Angela Davis's quote. And she has a beautiful
Right.
quote that is so
Yes.
powerful. And it says, I am no longer accepting the things I cannot change. I'm changing the things I cannot accept. Right. So this
Wow.
idea of really, you know, each individual being able to use what you have, what you're given to impact. And I keep saying this word impact because I think people don't really understand. You talked earlier on the show about what's happening in the world. But if
Yes.
you really embrace your power and you understand that it's one individual, you do have the power to affect change, but you have to like
Yes.
understand that. So that's really where
Yes.
that came from, this piece.
Right.
Yeah.
And I love that you continue to use that word impact, because absolutely we all as individuals are put here, I believe, to make such an impact. And you are absolutely doing so with your work. I also
Yes.
understand that in the midst of a pandemic, while other people were going backwards, you were moving forward, brave people, and actually got something started during the pandemic. Tell us a little bit about the Gandhi Art
Ah,
House.
right.
Like
The
only a
Gandhi Art
bad woman
House.
could do that. get something
Yeah. Oh,
started
thank
during
you.
the pandemic.
Thank you. I think that what was really important for me, I mean, for several years, I wanted to create a space in which people can come and create, right? And to
Right.
offer a space because I really believe that art is therapeutic, and especially for LGBTQ youth, part of my artistic practice is giving, opportunity and making art accessible. And
Yeah.
it's really important. I mean, young people, LGBTQ young people, families, women, that kind of thing, right? So here we are. I'm sitting with my mother in the pandemic. As we all know, you know what that was like. I'm with her and you're
Right.
talking about it. And I wanted to leave a legacy for my mom, our name as well. So I was just like, we were talking about it, just like, let's not start it. Let's just do it. So I just started it. I've
Do
been
it.
doing virtual because it's virtual. I envision a space, obviously, when we can do
Right.
that. But as of now, it's virtual. It's called the Gandy Art House. You go to thegandyarts.com, I'll do art and groove, get a group together. We'll do art, listen to music, bring your little sip if you
Come
want.
on. Yes,
I do
yes, yes.
one-on-one private instruction. And it's not about like having to be an artist. It's about giving you that opportunity to express yourself because everyone is creative and we don't always get that chance. So yeah, I started it and I'm going to be having in March for Women's Month, I'll be having some wonderful art sessions that people can join. So I'll let you know about that, Angie.
Yes, you definitely
Yeah.
keep me informed. I love that you said, let's just do it. I love that. Let's just do it. I'm sure that's how the best things get started. Speaking of dreaming, you dream, you sat someplace and it's like, okay, then there's dreaming this up. And people, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Dreaming up
You
something
have
and then
to.
having it happen. You absolutely have to. I know that you also have, we just saw two pieces of your work, but I know that you have work. Tell people a little bit about how you got started and where they might be able to view some more of your work.
Well, I've been creating all my life since I was a little kid. Luckily, I grew up in New York City and I grew up, with creative mom in a multicultural arena. So for me, I went to school. I went to school in Paris at 18, studied art history, traveled. Then
Wow.
I got my degree from the University of Southern California, Rossi School of Art and Design. But really, for me, I've always just been out there putting my ideas out there, deciding and then doing them. And so if you want to see more of my work, you can go to my website, myragandyart.com. And I'm working on some work right now where because I'm really interested in kind of like how race and beauty play together and the power
Yes.
that Black women have and the power that women have in general. I'm creating some work right now that's including the sisterhood of my trans Black women. I'm really affected by the fact that so many trans Black women are murdered every year. So the work that
Oh.
I'm working on now is celebrating their lives and creating an exhibition that can, really celebrate and honor those that have passed away. Because, I just, like I said, each individual is a type of person. Each individual has something that they can contribute to the world. And there's this
Yes.
great quote that I want to just share that I love from,
Absolutely.
I'm a practicing Buddhist with the SGI. And Daisaku Ikeda says, a great human revolution in just a single individual will help achieve a change in the destiny of a nation. Further, can even
Mm.
enable a change in the destiny of all humankind. And that's really what I
Yes.
believe. And
Yes.
you
Yes.
believe that too. You're
Oh,
opening.
absolutely.
I know you do.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. It has been a pleasure. I love, love, love that I get to. This is just the best place to be. I'm in the best place to be right now. And I thank you very much. It has been a pleasure, Myra, to have you in
Thank
our
you.
circle. And I thank you very much for stopping by. My
Thank you
goodness,
so much, Angie.
it's been a dream. Right. So you guys, I told you we were going to bring it. Yes. So have you all gotten your memberships yet? Your membership to, right? What are you waiting on? The word on the street is that Your Women's Circle is having its first Zoom meeting of the year on Saturday, January 23rd at 10 a.m. Pacific time. This meeting is open to current members and all of you who may be interested in joining, but maybe you want to sample before you buy. Yes, definitely want to encourage you to go to the website. There's a little form that you fill out there, and they will send you the link to the meeting. Again, that's going to be on January 23rd at 10 a.m. Pacific time. And the website is www.yourwomencircle.com. Say it again, www.yourwomencircle.com. So I'd like to thank our guests, Joy Silver and Myra Gandy, for sharing this virtual space with us. It was a pleasure to have those women in this circle. And I also, of course, want to thank all of you for doing your part in helping me bring Monday's sexy back. Yes, we bring in sexy all the way back on Mondays. Let's do it again next week. Meanwhile, don't forget to talk about us behind our backs. That means sharing these videos, introducing someone to the organization, and letting everybody know that the host is Fire. F-I-Y-A. Fire. Okay? All righty then. Oh, and don't forget, on purpose, I need you to keep dreaming. I'll talk to you guys later.